Now, Ghanaian President Nana Akufo Addo is the new chairman of the West African Head of State Regional Bloc, Ecowas. He was elected as head of the organization during the 57th ordinary session in Niamey, replacing outgoing chairman Mohamed Issoufou of Niger. Fatmata Fati has more details of that in this report.
Ecowas has elected Ghana's President Nana Akufo Addo as the bloc's new chairman at the end of the 57th ordinary session in Niamey, the capital of Niger. He replaces President Mahamadou Issoufou of Niger. Leaders met in person for the first time since the coronavirus outbreak in West Africa to discuss political, economic, and health issues affecting the sub-region. At the start of the meeting, ECOWAS leaders appealed for a swift transition to civilian rule in Mali following the August 18th military coup. The summit considered reports from the Mediation and Security Council's 44th ordinary session and the 84th ordinary session of the Council of Ministers, which preceded Monday's summit. Leaders deliberated on a special report on COVID-19 presented by Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, who was appointed on April 23rd as ECOWAS champion on the fight against coronavirus. ECOWAS leaders also discussed the single currency initiative. The ECOWAS initiated in January 2020 as the French-speaking countries said they will drop the CFA, which has been in use since 1945. The ECO has not gained popularity in some member states. For iAfrica News, Fatmata Fati.
Well, now joining us on the line from New Jersey is in the United States is Josh Korzo, PhD and Assistant Professor of Security Studies. Well, Professor, many thanks for joining us. Now, ECOWAS has renewed their call for a quick transition to a civilian rule in Mali. Now, what do you think? What did you make of this latest push from the regional bloc?
Mr. Conte, thank you for having me today. I personally do not think that a call by the ECOWAS leaders for a swift transition is actually in the interest of the Malian people. What I believe should be in the interest of the Malian people is a thoughtful process, a process where the Malian society first determines an agenda for a transition and then determines how long that transition will take. And then third, decide who is more suited to lead the transition. So starting by calling for a quick, swift transition to me is totally biased and is not in the interest of the Malian people. And again, in my view, the agenda for the transition should be all about designing and putting in place a new system of governance because we are here today in Mali because 8 years ago when the coup happened, all that mattered was a quick transition to the civilian control government. And that should not be the sole purpose of a transition. Therefore, I'm hoping that the Malian society will understand the importance of this and take this opportunity to take the destiny in their own hands.
Now,
so
Professor,
personally.
Yes, I'm sorry to interject here, but as talks for a transition continue in Mali between the junta and the opposition parties, now, are both parties likely to reach a negotiation solution to a smooth and peaceful transition?
I am hoping that the junta will find a common ground, not just with the opposition, but also with all the different segments represented in Mali, and not just the national actors, but all the international actors with interest. So I can only hope, because this is not a political problem. It is more than just politics. This is a whole of society problem, and they should make everything possible to reach an agreement with the insurgency groups, the opposition parties, the former regime leaders, the civil society, different segments of the international community represented in Mali. So this is a whole of society approach that is needed in Mali.
Well, just lastly, Professor, do you think the military will heed to the calls by ECOWAS and other outside groups to return power to the civilian, or are they likely to see out their own military transition?
This is a good question. Like in every situation where you have a coup, there is a tendency that those who perpetrate the coup will tend to remain in power. That's something that the Malian society should worry about. However, I'm calling for them to be vigilant, and I don't think that the current environment will provide incentives for the junta to want to remain in power. But that does not also mean that we should just, switch to a civilian government and not think hard and harder about what is the core issue at stake here. So I don't personally think that in the current environment, the junta will, be able to succeed in remaining in power. You never know what people, want to do, but I believe that the Malian society should be vigilant and put forward a clear desire to have a transition that is a well thought process, and make sure that nobody hijack this, this moment for the Malian people.
All right, Professor Kodjo, once again, many thanks for speaking to us.
My pleasure.
All right.